All right, Dami, we're out again. Today is unsolicited wrist check. It is April 5th, 2022. That is the Gregorian calendar. If I am not mistaken, I'm not quite sure if we were operating under the Mayan calendar, what I should be saying. But I think, if you're looking at this, far down, forward, up, left, right in the future, I think you could probably, who knows if the Gregorian calendar will stand the test of time. I'm not quite sure how long the Gregorian calendar has been around. I'm pretty sure the Mayan calendar has been around for tens of thousands of years. I mean, if we just look at the way they track, I think that's definitely a tell. If a calendar has one cycle, a long count cycle of 5,000 plus years. Look, I'm not a Mayan calendar expert, but all I'm trying to say is that if hypothetically you were operating under a calendar that has a long count of 6,000 years, I would assume that, probably you have multiple cycles of that, and that's just my perception or my understanding or my lack of understanding, but hypothetically, that's what I think. I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'm okay with that, and I'll just update my ideas. I like to do that. If I'm wrong about something, I like to first acknowledge that I'm wrong. I think that's important. And then update my operating system. And when I say operating system, I mean my brain. Okay. No, I'm just joking around. I'm not joking around about the Mayan calendar aspect. I do appreciate it. And I do appreciate the Gregorian calendar. I don't think it has to be a competition. There are some flaws in every calendar system. I know, look, and I'm not a calendar expert. All I'm saying is that I know that, I know that, look, here's the thing. Now I'm just going to show you my ignorance, because I know there's different systems, even at the moment, and not everyone follows the Gregorian calendar. I know that if you follow a moon-based system, that's why, you have a Chinese New Year that doesn't coincide with the New Year of, I'm going to just say the location where I live in the West, in the United States. I don't know. I think maybe there are a lot of people that follow, the Chinese New Year and the calendar system. This is where I'm saying I don't know I'm so ignorant. I should have researched things, but sometimes I think it's important to just acknowledge your ignorance. I'm not the kind of person that researches everything before I speak, because, I just I don't make the time to do that. I realize that I got sleep sometimes, and I enjoy and appreciate sleeping, and I enjoy and appreciate exercising. So that's why we're out here today, because I looked in the mirror this morning and I said, wow, I am making a little bit of progress, and I appreciate that. I really do. I appreciate when, I've been exercising now for, I'm not quite sure, I didn't mark it on my calendar when I started to exercise again, but if I look back on my own YouTube channel, Dami, this is where Dami's like, you're speaking too much. If I look back at my own YouTube channel, I could look back when I got back from my cross-country road trip in my wife's vehicle. I'm very grateful to BMW and the X3 and Carvana for offering amazing vehicles at an awesome price. I'm not sponsored by Carvana, but hopefully maybe one day I will be. I mean, we have, as a family, bought 2 vehicles, and I'm very grateful to have been able to purchase cars that I probably would not have been able to get or get at the same price if purchased at a dealership. So in that way, I am very, very grateful to Carvana. So, but if I guesstimate, I think maybe a month or so, I've been exercising. I started out with a couple of weeks just on the bicycle, cruising with Dami, my son. And now I have slowly integrated running back into the equation, because my goal is to hopefully in the next maybe couple months sign up for a marathon. The marathon is, I would say, my race of choice in life. I greatly appreciate the marathon first marathon I ever ran, I was in high school. Shout out to the San Francisco Marathon. Don't know exactly how many times I've ran the San Francisco Marathon. And I'm not a marathon expert, please. And I'm very slow, too. So if anyone's like, wait, hold on, let me look up this guy's times. He ran marathons and what? There's one marathon I actually barely made the 6-hour cutoff. Now, granted, I was not feeling well. And right now I'm making excuses. So just insert excuses right here. Anything you can think of. But I told myself it didn't matter. It didn't matter. They were opening up the streets as I was passing. And sometimes the worst feeling is when you prepare and then you get passed by people in party hats and people who are just having a good time. That can be very frustrating, but I told myself, look, and I think I even called my girlfriend who became my wife after, shout out to my, to my wife if she's listening. I appreciate you listening. But I think I texted her, I called her and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to make the 6 hours. I think I barely made it. Because they were opening up the streets, but I think I made it. I made the cutoff. So, long story short, all I'm saying is that I'm not a marathon expert, but I appreciate the marathon because I like events. I really like events that can draw a broad range of people, and that's what I am very grateful to Omega and Swatch because they really open the door to the mainstream. And I think, for the most part, people understand what watches are, even before the iPhone, I don't know what it's called. I've never owned one. I think they're cool, but I'm just saying they're not my cup of tea. I prefer traditional watches, and by traditional, I mean something that just tells me the time, has an alarm, maybe gives me multiple time zones, stopwatch, countdown timer. That's for me, and I get it. Look, you could say, look, the iWatch, forgive me if I'm saying this wrong, but it's just a regular watch. I get it, but it does a lot more. And maybe, who knows, maybe one day I'll buy one just to try it out and see what it's like. But what I'm saying is I appreciate how, maybe I'll say this better, the watch type that existed, or that came into the equation in the mid 80s, 70s. Currently, the watch that I have, forgive me, I'm wearing a G-Shock. I do love G-Shocks. I do love Seiko as well. I visited the Seiko Museum in Japan with my wife. What was it, 5 years ago? And it reminds me I do need to update my passport because I want to set my intentions. I think setting your intentions is actually very important. So I like to set my intentions. I want to make sure that my passport doesn't expire, because I have plans of traveling the world again. I really do enjoy speaking to people from all over. And that's where, I feel like I get my gauge on how things are going just in the world in general. I think that's important. I think, it is important to watch YouTube or, check on your social media, but I also value the ability to speak to people on the streets, just people in casual conversation. I think that really does make a big difference in understanding what's going on in the minds of just people in your day-to-day communities. So I don't know where I was going with that. Excuse me. So the San Francisco Marathon, yes, I love it because of the hills. I've only ran, okay, I do have to pause for a second. Excuse me just for a moment. I just need a hypothetical moment here. If you hear I'm pouring water on the floor, that's what it is, okay? I'm just pouring some water on the floor. I'm not the... Look, I'm lazy, okay? I'm not going to stop the recording. I'm out here in the desert. I saw another gentleman running. I let him know mentally that I appreciate him, and I like to share. I like to share nature, and I think even though I'm in the desert, I still think it's nature. At one time there was a lake here, and I think that was 5,000 years ago, but who knows? I think the world works in cycles. I think it really does. So who knows? Maybe there will be a day in the not too distant future where there is a lake bed again. You know, I mean, Dami's very frustrated. Okay, he realizes, oh, maybe he wants me to start running. So maybe that's the truth. So I might have to pick up the pace here. No, but back to the marathons. I really do appreciate the fact that marathons bring all kinds of individuals to the party. I'm going to say it's a party because, you know, anytime, and I can only speak for myself. You know, granted, I probably only ran less than 10. Well, maybe if I'm guessing, maybe 10 marathons in my whole life. Maybe more, maybe less, but you know, roughly around there. So, I like the variety of people. You know, and I like the San Francisco Marathon because you could have like outrageously amazing runners, and I'm sorry, I don't know everyone's names, and I'm, you know, if you quote me and you're like, he's not a real enthusiast because he doesn't know this guy and that guy or this woman and that woman, you know, I'm sorry. Look, I'm passionate about the sport of running, but I don't necessarily know everyone that's engaged in the sport. So if that doesn't qualify me to be someone who's relevant or who can speak on it, well, then maybe that's okay. Maybe that's why, you know, I'm the only one who's watching my videos, and I'm okay with that because I realize that, you know, I have a lot of hobbies. I really do. There's a lot of things that I enjoy. So, and it's really hard to appreciate, you know, maybe like just guessing, maybe like 10, probably more than that, 15, 20 hobbies, and then to know everyone in those specific hobbies and to be involved in all those hobbies. It's very time consuming. And then, you know, having a family, 2 kids, you know, trying to take care of all the things that are involved in that, I think it's a lot. It's a lot to take on, but I still want to, and I still enjoy engaging in all these things. And I think that's what keeps me young, because I love to learn. You know, I love to learn about things. So, okay, Dami's telling me I get really enthusiastic. No, but one thing I do, I'm just gonna present you with I remember, I always try to line up towards the front. You know, I know they go by, what's it called? They go by pace. And I appreciate the people who are the pace setters, because you're holding up that little sign that says, you know, 4 hours, whatever, 4 hours, 20 minutes, 4 hours, 30 minutes. I think, you know, that's, that, and I think you have to be quite a bit faster than whatever you're designated. Yes, I know we're going, but okay, I'm going to start running. He wants me to run. Okay. Okay. I'm not sure if you can hear my son. You know, he's, I think I've been growing on him. He's been growing on me. We like to vocalize. Okay. No, but, I just love that, you know, I remember there was like, people would throw tortillas. It's just exciting. It's exciting. Even if you line up in the back, I can't imagine. I've never been honest with myself and put myself in the pace that I should be. But I always try to put myself in the category that I want to be in. So I think if you asked me what would be my goal, yes. I know, but you're watching your video. Why can't I make my own content? You're consuming, I'm creating, okay? Yeah. Okay. I think his, Baba, it's fine, but I think his problem might be that, you know, he wants to be the one vocalizing everything, and I'm like, you're only 4, Dami. You're only 4. Oh, your tablet. Okay, hold on. Give me 1 second here. Let me update him. All right, bud. That was my mistake. Oh, why did you up? That was my mistake. I thought you wanted to be in my video. There you go. My apologies, sir. My apologies. I'm glad I got that on video. You know, I like to be wrong on video so that way I can acknowledge it forever and ever. You know, some people say that you should hide your mistakes. I think the opposite. And I say, well, why not accentuate my mistakes so I could learn from them? No, so I think we were on the tortillas, and that's why I actually love beta breakers too. Bay to Breakers is another race. Ran, or it is run, excuse me, in San Francisco, and it starts out, I forget where, and it ends at the water line. I think it's a 10K, 12K, don't quote me. It's been a long time since I've ran Beta Breakers. That's actually a race I love because even when I'm not in shape, and look, I'm not saying I'm special. I'm just saying that, you know, because I've ran my whole life pretty much, I took it for granted. And even when I wasn't in shape and I didn't exercise and I didn't put any effort in, I was still able to do the Beta Breakers. And by do it, I mean like run the whole thing. Not fast, but so, and I think that's me just riding on my prior accomplishments. But I've realized that as I've gotten older, it's harder and harder to ride on my previous accomplishments, and I've realized that now I have to put forth more effort in order to just get to where I used to be at. So, but I'm taking you along on this journey because, you know, now that I'm 40, gonna be 41, I don't think I'm alone in this new realm of having to adjust. I know a lot of people say that 40 is midlife. I don't really feel like it's midlife. I say 40 is the new 20. If someone asks me, you know, I really don't think it's old. I think I do have to make adjustments. You know, it's hard to go to bed late and wake up early, but at the same time, I think eating healthy and exercising on a daily basis, I'm just speaking for myself, I think it does tend to change and skew the numbers. So 40 to me is the new 20. That's what I believe. So, but I do want to sign up probably for a marathon towards the end of this year. I want to give myself, just because I have not been running, I can't, aside from the other video I posted a few days ago, I can't remember the last time I ran. And I find that disappointing. I find it disappointing. I'm disappointed in myself. So, I want to give myself realistically, you know, I want to commit. I've been thinking about, I want to commit to running a marathon probably towards the end of this year. That would give me hypothetically like 8 months-ish, maybe January. I haven't decided where though. I probably will look somewhere in the United States, Mexico or Canada, maybe just to keep it locally here. But I mean, there's plenty of cities within even the United States that I think would be fun to run their marathons, you know. Or even maybe I'll just do the San Francisco Marathon because, you know, it's familiar to me. I've done it, I don't know, 5 or 6 times. The first time I ran it, like I said, I mentioned earlier, I was in high school. I got destroyed. I really did, because the reality was the furthest I'd ever ran prior to running the marathon, and I didn't run the whole thing. So it was probably like 8 or 10 miles in high school, and just I did cross country and track, but I was in for a rude awakening. And you know, when people say you hit a wall around, you know, it depends on the person, but around from 16 to maybe 22-ish miles, absolutely. Every single time I've ran a marathon, there is that wall, that metaphorical wall where you may feel good. And my problem is I try to exert myself and try to, quote unquote, in my mind, win the race, you know, the first 10 or 12 miles. But I've realized that no matter how much effort you put forth in the beginning, you can't ride on that effort. So usually for me, I forget which one I'm just thinking in my head, but there's been a lot of times where I feel like I'm a rock star. You know, I'm at like 15 miles, pushing myself, feeling good, everything's working right, and then, you know, maybe 2 miles later, I'm just hating life. I don't know a better way to say it, but, and I think sometimes the worst feeling is when you just are absolutely decimated and you realize that you still got to go like 5 more miles. I've been in that situation too, where I've been at like 22, 22 miles, and I'm like, bro, I could barely walk. I could barely walk. Every step, it's like pins and needles and excruciating pain in my legs. And maybe that's where mental toughness comes in. And maybe, in a lot of ways, I think, I'm just saying me personally, unless you do something like that, you don't necessarily get to understand how tough the mind can be. I think there's this determination that comes in, and in a lot of ways I was never in the military, but I've heard people speak who've been in the Navy SEALs or other branches of the military or other specialized units, that speak about that usually when you give up, you're approximately about 40% done as far as your body's concerned. So in the reality, that gives you another 60%. So that's why I think too, maybe it might sound silly, but I'm at 40 years old. Maybe I'm just getting started. I don't know. Maybe that sounds conceited, but I'd like to believe. And that's why the other thing I've noticed too is a lot of marathon runners, when they actually compete, they're actually a lot older. They're like in their 50s. And that's why I think too, I've heard, and this is maybe just me finding information to justify my position, but I've heard people say that, marathon runners don't necessarily come into their own until later on in life. And I think a lot of that has to do with possibly the development of mental fortitude. I think there's a lot to be said about developing your mind, that grit, True Grit. Shout out to True Grit. Epic movie. Awesome movie. So right now, I'm trying to just get back into shape. Like I said, this morning I looked in the mirror and I've only been exercising maybe a month or so, but I'm starting to notice, at the very least, me not getting fatter. And I think I'm just speaking for myself, but I've noticed that, like if I'm lazy or not working out, even though I'm not looking in the mirror and physically or mentally acknowledging it, there's this downward spiral when you're not exercising and you're eating poorly. Maybe for me, it's like my clothes that fit loosely now start to fit snugly. And then that's why I appreciate, just coming back to certain pieces of clothing and putting them back on, because, clothes don't lie. So I'm trying to utilize that. And I know people will be like, well, it was the winter, and I get it. I agree. In the winter, it's harder to exercise. So I'm going to use this opportunity now. The sun is shining, or it's not as cold. And I know the desert in southern Nevada is not as cold as other places. Other places, there's snow on the ground. But I actually, living in the Midwest, I actually loved running in the snow. I thought that was a lot of fun, because it's like you were hot and cold at the same time. I think that's kind of, I do. Now, granted, at first, when you start running, and I'm just reminiscing about this is probably 20 years ago, when I ran cross country in college. But I am very grateful for being able to run in the snow. I got to train, that's where I'm very grateful. I got to train with a bunch of studs, bro. I could barely keep up with these gentlemen. They were the ones that really showed me what it meant to be tough. So the reality is, I only have these men and women, because, obviously there were females on our cross-country team, but all these individuals showed me what it meant to be a tough person. So I was literally just on their heels, but at the very least I made a decision to try. And I think that's what's important. It's important to try. It's important to commit yourself mentally to say, you know what, and whether I'm successful today, whatever that means, that's irrelevant. I'm gonna commit myself to getting out there and putting myself in that metaphorical arena. I think that's very, very important. So That's what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to hustle. I'm trying to bring forth the effort, and I appreciate being able to record it and put it on the internet, because at the very least, maybe I'll motivate someone else to be like, you know what, I should get out there and walk or run or even try your first marathon. I think that a lot of times people are like, well, 26 miles, it becomes this unimaginable obstacle, because I think the reality is, if you don't run or you haven't ran in your life, and the most you've ever done is a mile, in high school or whatever, 26 times that can be intimidating. But I think when you do it with your friends, or even at the least just realize that a lot of people, they walk a lot, and and especially what's fun is I can't speak for, I've only done like San Francisco Marathon off the top of my head, thinking the Dublin Marathon in Ireland, but sometimes I think of it like you don't even feel half the race, because especially if it's a city that you think is beautiful, it's really like sightseeing, but traveling by your own power. And I think there's something fun about that. There's something enjoyable. I always, when I was younger, I always thought that it would be fun to like have a vacation, and I've used marathons as my own personal vacations, where I'll go to a city and run the marathon, because I just think it's fun. It's a fun way to see the city, to experience it in a way that I would never be able to experience it otherwise, because most of the time, they're not going to shut down the streets for you if you just want to. I've never done the Las Vegas Marathon, but maybe I should sign up for that. I think it is in the winter, so that's just an idea that popped in my head. But so I definitely think that it's a fun way to explore a city. Now, granted, usually this is just me, but usually for a couple days after I run a marathon, I could barely walk. So in part, that's probably due to my conditioning, or my lack of conditioning. But I can remember just thinking back, like, just times where I know after the Dublin Marathon, I don't think I left my hotel room for literally 24 hours after the race, because I literally could not move my legs. And I say that absolutely in the correct form, like literally. I'm not saying figuratively. No, like I could not move my legs. And that became, I just think that is difficult, when you're somewhere alone and you gotta use the bathroom or you want to eat something. It's just, that's why I'm grateful for having people that care about me. I think that's important, to have people that care about you, because a lot of times when we're younger, and I'm speaking for myself, we don't realize that, if you just can't move your arms or your legs, you change one little thing like that, it becomes very difficult if you're alone, you live alone. So I'm very grateful to have people that care about me, and I'm hoping that, in having kids and trying to raise them in a correct manner and showing them what it means to have gratitude, compassion, love, and understanding for other human beings. I hope that, maybe if I am in that situation, maybe they'll have some compassion for me. And that's my hope. There's no expectation. Obviously, if they don't feel compelled to do that, well, then that's their choice. I never would expect anyone to help me unless they felt it within their own heart to do so. So here we go. We're almost to our launching ground, the hills. The hills, baby. We're getting after it, bud. We are getting after it, bud. I'm feeling good. I really am. I woke up this morning and said, I went to bed late. I played the show 2020. Awesome game. I haven't played baseball on a video game console in decades, but I'm enjoying the game. Shout out to the Richmond Flying Squirrels. They're who I'm playing for currently. But who knows? Maybe one day I will rise up into the majors, and if not, I'm having a good time. And that's the thing I realized too, just playing this game, is that, just because you're not in the major leagues doesn't mean you should be sad. If anything, I think it's important to have fun and embrace every aspect of life and realize that every stage can be enjoyable if you choose to get out of your own way and just allow it to be enjoyable. So, okay, I'm gonna walk for a little bit. Oh my gosh, bro. I'm not really caring about distance, especially right now. So in my own mind, I'm like, okay, I got 8 months. I'm really realistically looking 8 months out. I don't want to do anything shorter than that, especially because, like financially, I'm not in a good place, and I never really supplemented or used different things. But even more so now, I don't really have the resources to consume anything other than water and just my basic calorie intake. So I want to give myself enough time to really realize that I'm like, what? I mean, and here's the thing. Look, I'm sure if you push come to shove, if you're like, yo, let's do this marathon in 3 months. I mean, I could do it, but what I'm saying, what I'm trying to let you know is that, when I do something, I want to commit as much, of myself as I possibly can. So in my mind, based on my past experiences, I'm like, 8 months is a good amount of time to, number one, get back into shape. Because even if I didn't run a marathon, I want to get back into shape. I don't like, I like looking at myself in the mirror and being honest and being like, I know when I've looked in the mirror at myself and been happy about what I saw. And, even though right now I'm not like saying like I'm embarrassed. Well, I'm a little embarrassed. Like, I still put, the video of me with the shirt off on the internet, but the reality is I'm not. I don't feel flattering. I don't feel like I flatter myself. I know I've seen, even just not even a year ago, I've looked at video and photos of myself, and I'm like, damn, I look good, And there's something to be said, I think, about just being able to look at yourself in the mirror and just be like, what, I'm proud of the way that I look. And I think that sometimes can be misconstrued into being like, oh, what you're saying is I have to look perfect, this and that. No, that absolutely not. I think there's something about being your own optimal, being the optimal version of yourself. I've never had any types of surgeries or things to make myself more attractive. I just think that there's something to what I'm saying is there's something to just being in the best physical condition that you can get into, and that's what I find attractive. I don't, I think a lot of times, and I'm just speaking, like I said, I'm just speaking for myself. I know that you can do things to insert, like I'm just thinking back of people that I've known or like where you can, and what some people have done, and I know that you can obviously insert, I think for men, I'm just speaking about men, you could put in silicone or I think hard plastic into your calves to make your calves look bigger. That's just one example, and I don't see the point to that. I think that hypothetically, if there was an area of my body where I didn't feel comfortable, I would just exercise it, and to the point where I felt like it was the best that I could produce, and then leave it at that. I've always, and here's the other thing, I've been a smaller guy, so and so hypothetically, I'm just saying, as a smaller gentleman, as a 5'5" gentleman, if I hear a woman say, I wouldn't date you because you're shorter than me, I see that as a positive. I see that as a positive, because I wouldn't want to be with someone who values height over personality or character traits. So, and I've heard that. What's funny is I've heard that even when I was a child, and I still hear that now. So I'm actually very grateful to not be tall, because I wouldn't want someone to want to be with me just because I'm tall, if that makes any sense. So I want, at the end of the day, I want someone to be with me because of who I am as an individual on the inside. I think that's what's important. So, I think we tend to find things I think we tend to find what we are or looking for. I know I butchered that. Sorry. No, but I think what we look for is what finds us there. I think that's a better way of saying it. So I've always been the type of person who I'm like, you know what? I'm looking for people, and not just relationships, just people in general. I want to be around people who have a great personality, who I vibe with and can have conversations with, and enjoy myself in that way. I don't like taking myself too seriously, and I don't have everything figured out. I really don't. The reality is I'm 40 years young, and I like to say that not facetiously. I like to say that like honestly, like, you know, I'm 40 years young. Like, I still have a lot to figure out. You know, I consider myself, I don't consider myself middle-aged. I consider myself a young adult, really. I think 40 is young. I really do. Okay, so now let's see. No, if you ask me what marathon, if I wasn't San Francisco Marathon, Las Vegas Marathon, look, now I'm just on my own little journey here. Okay, I don't call this a podcast because, no, I was thinking I would love to do a podcast. If I could find someone who I could vibe with. I mean, there are people out there. Look, I'm going to say this. I'm going to just be honest. There are a couple people out there that I've listened to speak on a podcast or Twitch or whatever, and I'm like, yo, I feel like I could have conversations with that person for days. But I just, maybe I don't know. I've like put myself in my own little, I don't know how to explain it. I really do. If I was to like step outside of myself and be like, you know what's the problem? I don't think I have a problem. I just think that I met so many people. I think that now that I've entered the realm of just conversation, I'm like, you know, talk is cheap, and I'm like, I'm really trying to just analyze my own actions and find someone who is acting in the way that I think is important to act. You know, I think that actions do speak louder than words, and so maybe I'm just slow at doing things. Maybe I'm just like, you know, maybe everyone else moves quickly, but I think time really does accentuate the way a person is. So maybe I don't have a problem, and maybe that's the problem. You know, maybe I'm okay with letting things play out the way that they should play out, or the way that I believe they should play out. And maybe other people see that as, you know, not indecisiveness, or maybe other people see that as like, this guy can't act, or can't put things into motion. But maybe, you know, I think that I can. It's just that, you know, I'd like to believe that I know what I want. I'm just, I haven't seen it yet, you know, and by seeing I mean like literally, because I think a lot of times you can listen to me. We're almost there, Babas. And you could be like, well, that guy's just good at talking for an hour on camera, or blah blah blah. So that's why I'm trying to develop my own skills here. So, ma'am, madame, mademoiselle. Okay, so maybe I should pick this up again so we can get up this hill. I'm also trying to work on my tan. You know, I realize that when I get a little bit of sun, I'm like, damn, I need to get a lot of sun. You know, it's weird like that. You know, like I don't know, time, maybe this could be in my own perception, but maybe time moves differently for everyone. You know, I realize that there have been times in my life where like the years will pass by so quickly, and I think that's a lot to do too with just being busy. Like, I've always just been a really busy person. I've never had enough time. You know, I've always been like, there's just so much to do, and there's so many things I'm interested in. There's so many things that I like thinking about. It's just, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but, you know, I've spoken to people and they're just like, you know, I'm so bored, I have nothing to do, or I can't think of anything to do. I'm like, and that's where I'm like, I can't relate. I can't relate to people like that, because I'm like, I have so many hobbies, so many interests, so many things that even hypothetically, if I were to get back into the hobbies and the things that I love, there's plenty of other things that, like, say, I'm just saying, I'm being silly right now. If I had on lockdown, if I was back into the firearms community, I was shooting competitively, you know, I was running marathons, feeling that all this is locked down, you know, back into computers, building computers, And these are, being able to read all the books that I want to read, listen to the audiobooks that I want to listen to, developing in like crossbows, and say I have all, and that's just a few of the things that I just off the top of my head that I appreciate and that I enjoy doing. Even if that was on lockdown, I would still, there's plenty of other things that I really would like to get back into. And number one, space. I've always, since I was a child, I felt compelled to, that's one thing that I always dreamed of becoming, is an astronaut going into space. So I just love learning about space. I find it fascinating, so, or music too. Like that's the other thing. I'm trying to get back into playing the saxophone. I played the saxophone in high school, middle school too, but it's just something I'm like, dude, I can't find all the time. And so that's why if I communicate with someone or have a conversation with someone and they tell me, like they're bored or they can't find things to do, I'm like, I don't understand. I don't. It just doesn't register in my brain as like, it doesn't compute. It's just like cannot compute. And I know everyone's different, but I just like things like that. I'm like, I don't understand how that's possible. I really don't. All right, here we go, bud. Going back up this hill, dog. All right, feeling good. I like to tell myself that too. You'll never know, but right now I'm actually telling you the truth. But sometimes I do like to play those mental games. It occurs a lot when you're running, especially when you're in excruciating pain. I have to play those mental games and be like, okay, I feel amazing. This is going well. It's true. The mind is a very powerful tool, and it can work for you and it can work against you. All right, here we go. Woo! All right. Now, I didn't upload a video yesterday because it just got busy. I was playing video games, hanging out with my son. We were playing outside. We got a lot of sun yesterday. And, now that it's like the beginning of the hot season, I had to take a nap. I really did. Yesterday, I slept quite a bit. I think the sun will do that to me. Just when I get a lot of sun exposure, but I think it's good. I remember learning, like your skin is eating as well. You're absorbing nutrients through your skin. Maybe that's a better way of saying it. So, okay, I can't run up the hill. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to walk this. Ah! Oh my gosh. But we're back in business, baby. We're back in business. All right. It is bumpy. I apologize if the sound is not the best. We're making our way up. We're going by. I'm trying. I'm pushing. I'm moving. I'm juking and driving. Getting there, up there. Oh, man. Woo. All right, bud. Oh, man. Oh, I love it, bro. Oh, man. We're going. We're getting there. Oh man, we're almost there. Bro. Oh my gosh. Sometimes I'm like, is this for real? Is this for real? Woo! Sometimes, no, I'm gonna tell you that. Sometimes, I think runner's high is real, but sometimes it's like an out-of-body experience, bro. It really is. It's where like maybe I'm just speculating. It could be if you're pushing yourself and you're just in excruciating pain for so long, I think your mind takes you outside of your body. So, that wasn't right now, but I'm just looking, I'm thinking now. I've spent so much time in that zone where it's like, okay, here we go, but I'm feeling good though, actually. Okay. All right, Bub City, Bubski, Bub Scooty. Whew. Okay. We're partying. Party. Shout out to B-Bugs. It's been a while since we listened to or watched B-Bugs, excuse me. I do. I wonder, are they on a new season? I'm so behind on Stranger Things. That's the other thing. When people are like, yo, I saw this show. I'm like, bro, I'm still on season 2 of Stranger Things. Shout out to Millie Bobby Brown, 11. Absolutely amazing actress. I appreciate her greatly. But yeah, that's why I'm like, yo, even the shows that I want to watch. That's why, I think we're all just in different places in our lives. That's what I realize, I'm still in the stage where I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to grow. I see a lot of flaws in myself, and I'm working on those things. I really am. I've been doing that for, maybe a couple decades now, and I'm still in that stage. And maybe other people, they've already figured that out, or they've already reconciled most of their problems or issues, and maybe that's the reality. That maybe we're all in different stages in our lives, and maybe I just need to be around people who are in a similar stage in their life, All right, Dami, I'm trying to twist my shoulders because my back gets so tight. That's one of my biggest issues is my back. It just gets so tight. I've never had back surgery. I talked to a lot of people just because I've been in multiple car accidents, motorcycle accidents, so I've had disc issues, to say the least. But I've talked to people who had back surgery, and it's never been a good thing. Once you start fusing those discs, it becomes I can't imagine. My back gets so tight. I can't imagine having those discs fused. I don't think I'd be able to run. I really don't. So. And granted, I know things are changing in the medical community or in the medical world. I know now stem cells have become acknowledged as a significant solution. And I'm hoping that, once stem cells become mainstream and start being used in the United States, I'm really hoping that maybe in a few years, maybe a decade, maybe the costs will come down and maybe I can get some stem cell injections in my back, and then I really believe the sky will be the limit then. The sky will be the limit because, I just spend a lot of my mental processing power is dedicated to pain management. And I just, I can't imagine how my life would be if, I didn't have to focus so much on pain. If I could just focus on maybe then I would be able to, get really good at all of my hobbies and stuff. And, really my dream, now I'm daydreaming, is really I would love to figure out a way to make money, just doing the things that I love to do. I think that's maybe me trying now to learn from my mistakes is I just there are things that I enjoy that I love to do, and I'm like, you know what, if I could just figure out a way to make money doing the things that I love to do, that would be the bomb. That really would. But I think there is definitely a steep learning curve. to when it comes to figuring out a way. And that's the other thing, I know I've talked to multiple people in detail, and that's I could just go get a job again. I could go just get a 9-to-5 job, make money. But I've been committed. These last couple years to trying to figure out a way to make money doing the things that I enjoy. And the most enjoyable thing, the thing that really hooked me at a young age, is philosophy. And I know I realized that I don't know if there really is a market at the moment, or maybe there is. I just haven't tapped into it. I enjoy just intellectual conversation. I really do. So I'm trying to figure out how I can do that, but also do it in a way where it's enjoyable. Because I've seen some people, and I'm not going to mention names, but I really think that there's a lot of different ways to do intellectual conversation. And I'm not a debater, and I'm not trying to win anything. So I just appreciate conversation, and I've noticed some people they make it a competition, and it's disgusting to me. I'll just be honest. It's disgusting to me when certain people will bring you on their show and solely just to trap you or to like make you look bad, and I don't appreciate that. I really don't. The reality is I wouldn't go on anyone's show. I wouldn't have a conversation with someone live or, whatever on YouTube or a podcast unless I really felt comfortable that person was not going to depict me or make an attempt to depict me as some sort of, good or bad. I'm not looking for someone to not highlight my negatives, but I'm also not looking for someone who's going to try to literally, and I've seen that too. And I'm not going to mention names, but I'm just pouring water out. Don't mind the sound. I'm sure you don't even hear it, but I like to call myself out. I'm like, you know what? If I have to pour this water out because it's too heavy, I'm going to do it. And maybe the water is, technically I'm not, I'm being accurate. Actually, I'm pouring water out. So I have my Nalgene water bottle, just so you know. I'm going to drink some water. We're going to find this hill right here, Dami. We're going to stop for a little bit. Okay, hold on. You want to walk right now? No, so, I wanted to vocalize that. I like vocalizing things because I think setting your intentions is important. I think it's good to understand yourself. It's good to understand what you want, and I have seen that. I do watch a lot of YouTube. YouTube is probably my main source of content. I appreciate it, number one, because it's free, and I realize that people make money on YouTube. I get that, but just me consuming and being able to choose and watch videos, that's free. So, but just some of the things that I've seen where like some people I think are very amazing, and they'll be on someone else's platform, and they get kind of dumped on. Lack of a better description, they just get kind of dumped on, and I don't like that. I really don't. I think, and I've seen that too with interviews as well. Like they'll compliment you, but then at the same time, it's like side eye and like undermining what you do or what you say. So like, and I realized that maybe this is me just being overly, someone might be like, wow, what do you expect? No, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm trying to figure out a way. And if that happens, I would do my best to address it or to highlight it. And if not, I'll just be positive and respectful. But what I'm saying is if I'm daydreaming now, and if I could find someone that I feel like isn't trying to do that and is genuinely just trying to have a good time with me, just trying to explore ideas and figure out a way where we both can become successful doing something, that's what I'm looking for. That's really what I'm looking for. I think that sometimes when you and this is just me speaking in generalities, it's not really like I've ever had to deal with this, but like when you work with people that you don't necessarily get along with, I think that's when days become excruciatingly long. And so I've always been kind of blessed with the experience that most of the time I've been able to get along with the majority of people that I work with or work next to, and that's why I think that's why I think I'm able to say 40 years young, because time flies. I think there's some truth to that. Time flies when you're having fun. And the last 4 years, I've been able to, my main companion, my main coworker is my son. He's been teaching me every day. I know, as a parent, you think like you're raising your kids, but at the same time, your kid's raising you. I've learned just as much from my son as I'd like to believe that he's learned from me. So I'm very grateful for that. I really am. And I don't want that to ever end. And that's why I'm very happy to be able to say that I'm a father. I think out of all the accomplishments that I've ever accomplished in my life, and it's not a lot of things that I've accomplished in my life, I think the most valuable to me is becoming a father. I think I've learned the most. I've been in positions where I've been able to teach other people, and I'm grateful for that. And I'm especially grateful for that when it's someone who's younger than me, because they are able to teach me things that I would not have thought of, because I think there is something to younger people being able to expose older people. But it's the same way. It works both ways, I think. So, but I'm very grateful to be your father, Dami. And I'm grateful that we were able to bring you a brother and let him be in the world as well, because I think there's something to that as well. I didn't have any siblings growing up, but I got to grow up with a family of 3, and I'm grateful for that, at least to be able to see, to be an outsider, but at least to learn from the outside. So I'm grateful for that as well, Demi. Actually, when I look back at my life as a whole, everything that I've ever had really benefited me and really enriched, I don't know if that's a word, enriching my life. I don't know. Maybe I'm just making up words now because I get sentimental looking back at just the abilities of having all these things and being born in the wealthiest nation on planet Earth. I try not to ever lose sight of that. I try, and I know I do. Sometimes I am ungrateful, and I don't appreciate all the things that I have. But I'm trying to make an extra effort on a daily basis to say thank you to life, really, for being here. And so I don't think it matters. I think that no matter what you see, it doesn't, there's nothing that I don't think that I could see that would ever draw me to not believe in a higher power, in something that's more intelligent than myself or any other human being. I think there is something to the idea that we all matter. We all do. We're all here doing something, and there's something that every single person on this planet is capable of that no one else is capable of, and I've always believed that. I believe that every life matters. And I think you respect all life or you don't respect any life. So, I know that a lot of things happen that cause us to reflect and say, well, why did this happen? But I think in the grand scheme of things, I don't think there's any suffering that goes unnoticed. I don't believe that. I really don't. And I don't think there's an unwinnable hand. I really don't either. I think that everyone at some level gets reconciliation for everything that's happened to them. I believe that. And I think that's maybe where the concept of heaven and hell come from. I really do. I think there's more to it than just this life. And I think the longer that I have lived, the more I've come to see that that everything comes full circle. It really does. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be alive. I really am. Thank you. And I'm just saying thank you just to the universe, because the reality is I don't know when and where or how anything will ever happen. I'm just here along for the ride. That's maybe why I love roller coasters and I love Disneyland. Shout out to Very, Very Amusing. I forget her name. I just found that. I didn't find it. It was presented to me by someone I respect greatly, a senior editor at CNET. So that's why I love watching videos. So I'm like, because you'll see something and I'll just be like, dang, I didn't know that even existed. I didn't even know that people had podcasts that just talk about like Disneyland, Disney World, and like what foods to eat or what the bathrooms are like. That I think is super awesome. I think about that more and more every day, that like, when I was a kid, there a lot of these jobs, careers, or ways to make money didn't even exist. They didn't exist. I mean, the easiest one is esports. Esports didn't even exist when I was a kid. The idea of making money playing video games was like, I think people would have thought you were delusional. Now it's a reality. So I think that's a beautiful thing. I think that, like being a younger person, but also being even younger than myself. My goodness, I mean, the options are endless on how to enjoy your life and make money and really just find something that brings you happiness. I think that's really cool. I really do. I think the days of just literally having to, fall into these little boxes, like you have to be this, you have to be that. I think that is gone. And I think I'm grateful that I'm still relatively, young, where I can hopefully move into something like that, doing something like that. So that is a very beautiful thing. I really do. I think that's where life is really an amazing journey. And I always make fun of people. They're like, journey. So this is my journey. No, but I think maybe that's where I needed to humble myself. I was at a young age, I was very judgmental, and I had an opinion on everything. I criticized everyone that wasn't like me, and now